The first-person shooter genre has long been a firm favorite amongst gamers. It offers high-speed, action-packed gameplay as well as some of the most captivating cinematic stories in all of gaming. And it just so happens that there are plenty of FPS titles on Xbox Game Pass. In order to help you choose your next FPS experience in the Xbox Game Pass library, we've gone ahead and put together the 10 very best first-person shooters on the service right now. Let's get into it. Good old Quake II. Now, even without a thoughtfully put together revamp that enhances the gunplay, tightens up enemy AI, adds new animations, and packs in all previously released DLC and a brand new episode from Machine Games, this one would still come highly recommended. With all of these revamped aspects to boot, it becomes an absolutely essential experience. Digging in here, it's amazing just how these subtle tweaks to gameplay and a handful of graphical enhancements make this decades-old FPS feel remarkably modern. This is still an absorbing, addictive, and just straight-up fun time, and fragging some foes in online multiplayer or local split-screen co-op with pals feels just as great now as it did when it was considered the cutting edge of video game action. There's clearly some clever folk over there at Arcane Leon, and not only has the French studio served up the incomparable Dishonored franchise, but they're also absolute masters of the FPS genre to boot. 2021's Deathloop is Arcane firing on all cylinders to bring us a fast and flashy time loop spectacular that sees us slowly unravel a clever mystery in the kind of narratively rich setting we've come to expect from this studio over the years. The real joy here, though, is that they've managed to meld their awesome world building and satisfying stealthy gameplay with all-out shooter action that feels like a proper alternative this time around. If you save-scummed your way through Corvo's adventures and are expecting to have to take the same sort of methodical approach here, then fear not, because Colt goes loud, he goes hard, and it feels awesome. Doom Eternal takes the gloriously brutal breakneck bullet ballet of 2016's excellent series reboot and layers in more of everything. It adds more systems, more upgrades, more guns, more enemies, bigger, more varied arenas, and then cranks the speed and carnage to the max. Within the first 10 minutes of this game, you've already got your hands on a combat shotgun, a heavy cannon, and a chainsaw. You could say there really is no time to waste during an interdimensional invasion of Earth. Yes, we know there's been a bit of a push and pull amongst fans over the platforming elements that have been added here and there, and yeah, we get it, that stuff doesn't feel very Doom. But we loved it nonetheless. And even if you're not too hot on these new aspects, there's still more than enough blood-soaked battles here to make it one of the truly great FPS experiences of the past decade. Whoa, rip and tear indeed. Halo Infinite earned a whopping great big 9 out of 10 from us upon its release back in 2021, and despite some ongoing grumbles with the multiplayer aspect of the game, it's a score we absolutely stand by. Although it is fair to say that the recent efforts of 343 to, bulk up the live service support haven't gone unnoticed. Master Chief's latest outing marries the tight FPS combat the series is known for, here looking and feeling better than ever, with an open world setting that hugely impressed us from beginning to end. Zeta Halo feels like an almost endless playground of possibilities, a huge expanse on which to zoom around, blasting Covenant forces, and lots of new baddies besides. With a cracking campaign story, lots of surprises along the way, and some of the funniest enemies you'll headshot into oblivion, this is easily one of the very best shooters currently available on your Xbox console. And it doesn't hurt that the multiplayer is free to play. Conversations and debates around the very best FPS campaigns of all time regularly feature Respawn's 2016 Spectacular, and it's really not too hard to see why. Titanfall 2 is a phenomenal shooter, an action-packed effort that offers up top-class gunplay, slick parkour, incredible world building, and, of course, great big bloody robots to blow chunks out your enemies with. The first game laid a solid foundation for sure, but the sequel really maximizes on that potential, serving up a game that is as beautiful as it is brutal, surprisingly emotional, and full of wonderfully thrilling set pieces. It doesn't outstay its welcome either, a rarity these days, serving up a tight package that kicks off at a high tempo and never really lets up over its roughly 8-hour-long campaign. There's incredible multiplayer here too, although we can't speak for how busy these servers are these days. Regardless, if you're yet to sample the delights of this one, you owe it to yourself to get stuck into the Frontier War at the earliest opportunity. Oh, and it still looks and sounds incredible. Seriously, how is this game even 7 years old? Of all the Battlefield games currently available to play on Xbox Game Pass, and there is a whole bunch of them, including the actually solid now Battlefield 2042, we reckon it's Battlefield 1 that's most worthy of your time as things stand right now. It's definitely a close call between this one and Battlefield 5, make no mistake, but we reckon the incredible atmosphere created here takes the crown. 2016's shooter Epic saw the series' trademark action shift to the battlefields of World War I, in a game that's both action-packed whilst also managing to present the most horrifying aspects of its setting in an incredibly somber and fitting way. DICE absolutely nails the atmosphere and the historical accuracy here, making for a game that looks and sounds like nothing else they've attempted before as you get down to business of battling it out across the enormous and intricately designed maps. There's also a surprisingly engaging campaign here that does much to educate players on the various aspects of World War I. Tons of multiplayer modes to get stuck into, and the servers that are still pretty busy with players who haven't gelled in quite the same way, perhaps with the franchise's most recent futuristic outing. Battlefield 1 is one of the all-time great FPS experiences, and you should play it. We at Pure Xbox have spoken about our love for Ghost Ship Games' amazing Deep Rock Galactic before, and it's a love that continued to grow, as this is one of the most unique and rewarding FPS experiences currently available on Xbox consoles. What you've got here is basically Minecraft meets Left 4 Dead, with you playing as one of 4 dwarf classes, heading out on mining expeditions fraught with danger and delights in equal measure. Of course, the mines and caves that you head into here are home to all manner of nasties that will attack you and your party at a moment's notice, and so you'll need to be on your guard and utilize lots of tricks, traps, and weapons in order to survive. The gameplay loop here is super addictive stuff, a wonderfully well-balanced mix of risk and reward that challenges you, tempts you to push in further and deeper into the mines in search of more treasure at the risk of death and the subsequent loss of your rewards. There's a ton of personality and style on show. Do yourself a favor and give this one a try. Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Siege is one of those games that's been doing the rounds since way back in 2015, and if you thought the game was good when it first arrived, then dear viewer, in 2023 it's indefinitely better. This is a top-notch team-based tactical action game that's grown and grown over the years, adding maps, expanding its roster of operatives, and giving players an endless playground of close-quarters counter-terrorist activity to engage with. We had actually taken a long break from Siege after having found ourselves pretty addicted in year 1, and going back, it's quite startling just how fresh it all still looks and feels. There really isn't anything else quite so explosively tactical out there, and if you've yet to try it, well, you are in for a treat and a half, because this really is as good as this genre of shooters gets. There's a reason why players have been on this one for like 8 years, and it's still going strong. New World Interactive's Insurgency Sandstorm initially released back in September of 2021, and if you like your first-person shooters a little bit more on the realistic side of things, this just might be the hottest ticket in Game Pass Town right now. Insurgency Sandstorm doesn't have a traditional campaign mode, instead training its sights exclusively on intense co-op and PvP modes that deliver a much more hardcore style of action, all wrapped up in a package that's actually more welcoming to new players than many examples of its genre. And yes, while you'll still need to get to grips with the realistic handling and slowly find your groove, it's not as terrifying as the likes of the Armor series when it comes to getting the handle of things. There are some excellent game modes to dig into here, paired with some top-notch map design, lots of authentic handling gear and weapons, and some excellent audio work. As our 9 out of 10 review puts it, Insurgency Sandstorm carves out its own niche by offering authentic gunplay across a wide array of game modes, including plenty of co-op action for those who prefer some PvE gameplay. Its unforgiving shooter mechanics won't be for everyone, but Insurgency Sandstorm rewards those who really learn how to play it, resulting in one of the most satisfying FPSs on Xbox today. First-person shooter of old, reimagined using modern rendering techniques. That's how Prodeus developer Bounding Box Software has described its Kickstarter-funded indie FPS, and boy oh boy has the studio managed to absolutely nail what they've set out to achieve with this one. Prodeus delivers the tight FPS action of 1990s classics such as Doom and Quake, mixed with the magic of fancy modern graphical techniques. Dynamic lighting, particle effects, a gore system that's so over the top it might even scare the game's own monsters, and a dynamic soundtrack, all of which comes together to create a visual and audio feast for the senses. If you've got even the slightest interest in retro shooters, or just shooting stuff in general, then do yourself a massive solid and get this absolute gem downloaded ASAP. Now, of course, the arrival of every Call of Duty game out there could soon be realized, but as for now, this is our list. If you disagree with our choices, then let us know your picks in the comments below. Remember to check out purexbox.com for all the latest Xbox news, reviews, and updates, and subscribe to the channel here as well. All that's left to say is bye-bye for now. Cheerio!